You're listening to the Jay Bird Watching Podcast, the official podcast of jaysjournal.com and fansite.com. We are the official ballroom chat for everything Toronto Blue Jays baseball, from game highlights to rumors and all the stuff in between. Here's your host, Craig Borden, with co-hosts Jason Lyons and Liz McGuire. Now let's talk some Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Hello and good evening, all of you wonderful Blue Jays fans that are still hopefully alive after and have a pulse after this long weekend. We appreciate y'all tuning in and joining in. We are having a great time as always, as we're going to have fun talking all things baseball, postseason, off-season, anything and all in between. Let's go around the table. Liz, first things, how are you doing? Welcome back. Liz?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm fine. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. I want to say that it's fine, and I'm fine, and everybody's fine, and that's just, aren't we here now?
Yep, there it is. Jason, how are you doing, my friend?
Well, I mean, it was obviously a crushing loss. Just watching the amount of times it just seemed to hourglass through their fingers. It's as a coach. You start to see these moments, and then, I'm sitting with both of my kids, and I'm like, this might have been the only time that they see a team that I, passionately cheer for win some sort of a championship. Aside from that, they saw the Niners. No, they didn't. But it's, it's one of those things where you're just like, shit, like, and yeah. It was collective. I started watching it at a bar, and we left to come home, and I'm glad it happened here rather than there. I know somebody that was there. I know somebody that was in a friend of mine that flew from here. Yeah, Liz, you were there. I can't even imagine the air coming out of that place as soon as they heard.
It was actually, so it was like we had 2 outs left, and I was looking at my feet and stressing because things aren't over till they're over, as well as the Blue Jays have turned things around. And I was like, and then Hoffman let that home run pop off, and the air just got sucked out of the building. And then as soon as that backup broke in and the game was completed, I looked at my brother because I had 1 tickets from Rogers, and I was like, we just left. We just got out of the building, and we just left. Get out of there.
That's about like my evening. And so, also with us this evening, we got our buddy Not Guy Eddie returning for all things NEPTA. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great. I feel a little bit bad because I didn't suffer the same sort of emotional trauma through this series as the rest of you guys, but I definitely was rooting for the Jays to pull this one out. There was a lot of good baseball. I thought it was an amazing Game 7 to cap off an amazing series. I wish the outcome had been a little bit different, but we really are blessed with some great players, some great baseball, some really impressive feats. And, I guess I just have the luxury of not being as emotionally invested as a lifelong Jays fan as the rest of you guys. I feel for you all.
Yeah. So, but to that point, that's where we are. But to talk the full, gambit of it, obviously the World Series ended the way it is, but we went from worst in our division to the second best in baseball. And nobody in their right mind was betting on the Blue Jays. Nobody was saying, oh, yeah, the Yankees are going to flop. They're never going to do anything. Or the Red Sox are going to somehow trail off and not show up the last month and a half of the season and all these things like that. It's just crazy to see the road trip that we went on this season. Jason, give me a little bit of a summary as far as what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I mean, I think that this was a roller coaster ride, for everybody. I mean, I feel like preseason was I feel like we were all like, who are these guys? Like every one of them was hitting. They were hitting, multiple home runs a game. Like what was Jimenez's batting average in the preseason? It was like 900, and he had like 15 home runs or something. And we're like, oh my God, this, we've waited so long for we can have nice things, and then
why not us?
Yeah, we didn't have nice things, and then we had really nice things. And, the pitching, I can still remember back in, sort of June-ish when we couldn't get a guy out after the starters left to save our lives. And then we had the best relievers in baseball and couldn't hit home runs, and then hit every home run. I mean, I think the World Series and the series leading up to it were very indicative of the Jays' year. We stole a lot of points. We stole a lot of wins. They were a very scrappy, plucky bunch. They loved each other very, very, very much. And we're starting to see that now with a few of the things we'll talk about on the cast today. But I mean, you know, I'm a really big Jays fan, but I'm also old enough now to not get so invested that I, you know, like you were saying, Craig, that I was gonna, you know, I was upset that they didn't win. I was happy with the way they had played, other than a couple of really small things. But overall, you know, the fans of Toronto baseball and sports haven't had a lot of wins in the last long time, other than, you know, the Raptors. You stick that one Raptors win in an abyss of not winning. And, you know, it was nice to see a lot of the people on social media stick with that, you know, sort of be okay with that and not, you know, freak right out. But, you know, I could see that people were visibly upset, and you know, I've got some friends of my parents and stuff, but, you know, that are in their 70s and that kind of thing, and they were very upset. But I mean, these are people who've been sitting on a Leafs or a Jays win because they're not really basketball people, and they haven't had one in so long that this was, you know, this was their, you know, gold medal for Canada. This was so many things. And that's the other part of it is, you know, this team coming down the stretch got a whole country excited about baseball again. And I'm never going to be not happy about that. Yeah. Anytime that I see, you know, like after game 6, I was driving away from my house. It was just about to get dark, and there is a dad and a kid out throwing a baseball off season. And I'm like, that is directly because there is baseball going on right now that means something to Canadian fans. And so that's totally awesome. So my hat's off to John Schneider. My hat's off to management, I'll say, this year for really putting together, you know, a hell of a team. My hat's off to the guys for working their nuts off all season long and not giving in, and also being classy in losing by nothing. You know, there wasn't anything happened. Nothing happened in Toronto. Good for you, Toronto. Vancouver has proved differently when we tend to lose a big game like that. So, you know, overall, really awesome season, great playoffs, and still go Jays.
Go Jays.
So, not Guy Eddie, were there some guys that stood out to you in this whole wonderful fun that is the Blue Jays? I know you are the wonderful guru of all things statistics. So we obviously have fallen in love with plenty of players this year, but is there somebody that stood out to you on the score sheet?
So there are a couple guys that really appeal to me a lot on this Jays squad. You know, coming from the Astros, I never really liked George Springer just because I didn't like that era of Astros. Yeah. But seeing him sort of blossom into this this resurgent elder statesman in the lineup was really, it felt like some kind of throwback, right? He's like one of the older guys on the team, can't really play the field too much. He's always kind of brittle, but he put up a monster regular season and continued to just be one of the most clutch playoff performers, you know, as he's been pretty much his whole career. But I mean, he just about had a 300, 400, 500 slash line for the regular season, you know, in his age 35 season. And that's like, I don't think anybody saw that coming. No. You know, like DH George Springer is the leadoff man of this AL pennant winner. And I thought that was really cool to see. I think, you know, obviously Vladdy is such a popular guy. Like he's a bona fide superstar, and everybody knows that he's great and that he puts up these great numbers. But I was very impressed with his defense all year, especially in some big spots in the World Series. His passion is unbelievable. You can tell he wants to be a Jay for life. And, you know, to me, it's not just about numbers and like making everything clinical and boiling it down to spreadsheets. Like the thing that made me fall in love with baseball is the color, right? The characters, the history, the narratives. And there are these intangibles that just appeal to me so much. So you have Vladdy, who's the son of a Hall of Famer, right? Born in Canada, plays with the Blue Jays, signs this monster deal to be a Jay for life. And instead of becoming complacent like we see some guys do after signing a mega deal. He wants to win as badly as anyone. In the series against the Yankees, that Superman diving play into home there was just, that is heart. That is passion. That's not a guy who is content to have $500 million in the bank. That's a guy that wants to win. And, at this point, we do not have a father-son pair in the Hall of Fame as players. But I think someday Vlad could change that.
That's a very valid point, and could not say enough of how George Springer was this team's Dave Winfield or Paul Mahler equivalent. It was just so nice to see him take that role over for this whole entirety of this season. Liz, is there any wonderful recapping moments you would like to add on to the piece of the season for us right now?
Yeah,
it's
funny.
Into the crazy series.
Yeah, it's funny. So I throughout this kind of run, because people media people have my phone number, I was on the news every 2 days, giving on the news talk or whatever. And I was so happy that I kept talking about the good news story until the end, which was the worst, having to give 5 interviews about how our team lost after that. But I think what has struck me is that this is the first time in my kind of recollection that we didn't just win and have to rebuild. We're at the start of something here, guys. Our team is young. Our team is good. People, we've talked about this a lot, about how no free agents want to play with us and how everyone laughs at us. No longer, bitches. We're going to have some sexy people joining us this season. We have a culture of winning. Our team, we've got Bieber signing right away. He's I'm back. I'm going to take a loss here on cash. We're doing this. And the kind of team culture and when it's funny because I have all these bandwagon or maybe new baseball fans will see, and they were like, oh my god, that was terrible, that was the worst ever. And I was like, well, it was bad, it was hard, that was a hard loss. But last year I remember we finished last in the division. We hadn't re-signed Vladdy. I remember saying on this podcast, I have no idea who our guys are or who is on our team. I think we're going to lose forever. I don't think ownership wants to win. I think they're complacent. And that was where I was at in April, I think, of this year still. And so
we might have actually had that same conversation with Rockstar Shane Told as late as May.
Yeah. And that's how where we were. And so when I think of and then one of my friends who's new into baseball just said but what happens now? And I'm like, oh, you're just sad. You just have to be sad. And then you wait until opening day. We wait until February where pitchers and catchers report to spring training, and then you wait until opening day. And
days.
And then I was like, and we're gonna unfurl the new banners. We won the AL. We won the AL East. That's slamming fun. So we're gonna celebrate them then, because there's discourse in Toronto because of well, shouldn't we have a parade anyway? And I'm like, that's stupid.
No, you don't do that shit.
Parades are for winners.
That's asking for bad juju.
Yeah, parades are for winners. That's stupid. But what you do is you just be sad. You can't have closure because closure comes with opening day. And
but Liz, don't you feel a little bit like there is an opportunity here for, and I did just like what you said, many pockets of brightness between now and that first day. We've got a lot of guys that potentially are needed to be signed. Bo being probably the largest one of the bunch, and I feel like just what you said is now something that is functionally going to happen for the next 5 years or so as Blue Jays, is we are going to start to get some of those prime free agents looking north of the border. We are going to get some guys being wouldn't be the worst to get traded up there. They seem to win and like to win and play hard. And so, it's amazing to me to watch some of the Dodgers already, talking about where they're going to be next year, which isn't Dodgers. It's amazing to me how quickly, not to hammer on the Yankees, but how quickly a guy like Bellinger was not coming back. You're wow. So, to see Shane Bieber sign for, what do you think, Not Guy Eddie? What do you think he left on the table? $8 million?
Yeah, easily. He's a proven guy, right? He's dominant. And I think it says a lot that he wants to be back. This looks very much like a team that has no reason not to contend again. Most of the roster is young, and it struck me as a team that really rises into something greater than the sum of its parts, as opposed to the Dodgers, which are sort of like the opposite of that, right? They are the biggest, baddest, fanciest, spendiest team that deferred money can buy. And they have these international superstars and MVP winners and everything. And it took them an extra inning game 7 to put away a lineup that has guys like Kirk and Barger and Lucas,
Clement.
Varsho and Clement. But the thing about the Jays is, from the Clement level guys who, probably overperformed, right? He's not a guy that anybody would have bet on to get 30 hits in the postseason and set a new record for single postseason. But from the sort of journeyman and the role players up to the mega stars like Max Scherzer and Vladdy, everybody's pulling in the same direction. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody is like very team first. And that was like palpable, I feel like, to everybody watching. This was a scrappy bunch of guys that just had a common goal and wanted to go out there and execute and have the best at bats that they could.
Yeah. There's nothing better than seeing what somebody like Ernie Clement can do in a postseason too. Literally the best hitter in postseason history at this point, 30 hits in a postseason, a 13-game hitting streak, only to be followed, funny enough, by his teammate, Vlad Guerrero Jr. with 29. Randy Arozarena was the next closest, with the one that they both beat, was the one that was currently holding the record with 28 postseason hits. Yeah.
Does Randy have a ring? No, Randy does not have a ring.
No, he came close that year. He was with the Rays.
That was back in 2020, I think, and he set the home run record, right, for a single postseason. He had like 10 homers.
Yeah.
Yep. It was just wild. That was talk about somebody uncannily performing. That was just crazy to watch too. And that's the thing the Blue Jays got. And I think I wanted to steer the conversation toward the family thing here a little bit, because I think you guys were hitting on that already with Shane Bieber coming back to be on this team. This is a guy that the Blue Jays traded for at the trade deadline and gave up some pretty decent prospects for. Beautiful thing about prospects, we have no idea. But right now, regardless of the wonderful fun that was whatever those two prospects turned into that we gave the Cleveland Guardians, the Blue Jays win this trade hands down, as they got to where they needed to get to with Shane Bieber. And then the wonderful thing is that he comes back on a discount right as soon as he could be. They didn't have to announce a player option, I don't think, yesterday. I think it was over the next couple weeks or something like that. So the fact that it was just like, here's the offseason, not even a thought, game on, let's go. It was just such a thing of beauty. And I think it speaks to the niche that is this wonderful thing that's going on in the Blue Jays clubhouse. It was the interviews with Ernie Clement afterwards. It was the Addison Barger talking about how they were all in the room like crying today on the Major League Baseball Network. They wouldn't leave the field. They were kind of wandering around. They were all together for hours after the game, just helping each other get out of it. And I can't imagine that team being broken up in that fashion. So hearing that that's already working in the right direction with somebody like Shane Bieber, I just think speaks leaps and bounds. I see the gears moving, Liz. Go for it.
Yeah, okay, so Scherzer's interview I thought was quite interesting on his post game, which I know they're emotional, but he's like, his wife has put out a statement about how this team has renewed their love in baseball, all of their loves in baseball, in a new way they never thought possible, essentially. And in Scherzer's post game, he said, "I can't see that bat being my last pitch." So, do we want Scherzer back? Like, what's the vibes there? I think so.
Why not?
Yeah, it's a lot of money, though. I mean, like, I love what Max did this year. I feel like he imparted a lot of Max onto the team, which is what we wanted when we were talking about this move in the offseason. Max is pushing. He makes $30 million, does he not? Or somewhere in that wheelhouse.
15 last year, according to StatTrax, and they're currently projecting his market value to be around $9 million.
Well, I mean, if he would sign for in that wheelhouse, I'm fine. If he signs, below 10, I think you're okay to take him. But you've got to. I mean, the thing that would worry me the most is that see if he can make it through a whole season again. I mean, we saw times during the year where he really sputtered and he needed time off. And I think at one of them, they even sort of said he had an injury, which he didn't. He was just old and tired. But I believe me, Max, I get that every day. And I don't even throw a baseball. I can't throw a baseball as hard as you. But
steps.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing is that, like you guys are saying, I feel like this is the first time since I've been doing this that I'm not super worried about the offseason. I'm not super worried about next season, even really. I'm just more interested to see, like we watch the Dodgers win, we watch teams win, and we're like, I wonder how they're going to look next year. Probably fairly similar. But the grotesque thing is that I saw a thing today about the players that they're already talking, like the Dodgers are already going after, and it's like, that's disgusting. You have to stop. Somebody has to stop them at some point from just poaching every good player and making it, the way that it is. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. And I feel like the Jays are positioned now to have 3 or 4 really good years of running. And so let's have some fun with it for now. Right. I can't wait to do like some fantasy draft stuff in a couple of weeks or in a month and be like, ooh, who could we get? Like, who's on the market that wants to be a Jay? So fun.
It's a hell of a market too, by the way. So
yeah, geez.
Jason, we got our buddy Wrath of Rock and the wonderful fun that is everything in the DNP olds section on the IL list. Tim totally Duncan.
Love Tim Duncan.
It was a fun watch. So on that note, we got some fun to talk about here because we do get to talk a little bit of free agency here. And then I want to end the show on a few stupid little things on like some fun here. Have you guys looked at this free agent list and who's on the market in Major League Baseball this year? It's a name of names for the last few years. And it's kind of crazy what the Blue Jays could bring into this fold that actually could be fun. The get of all gets would be somebody like Kyle Tucker, who is one of the very few people on this list that is under the age of 30, like Bo Bichette. Is that too much? Probably, but swing for the fences. That's the whole point, right? I'm not a big fan of Framber Valdez. I think he's got an attitude problem, but he's a hell of a pitcher.
Why? What's the gossip there?
I don't know. Story? He threw out how many people and had a little pissy thing with his catcher the one time.
Yep.
Jason, you and I had a fun time.
Yeah, he's the guy. Yeah, Liz, I don't know if you remember.
I remember.
He's the guy that drilled his own catcher.
Yeah, that was. Let's get him. He's got.
Yeah, let's not. It's like the Canucks. Like, hold on. Let's for a second. Let's just talk about that. So the Canucks last year, they're talking about how their dressing room is the shits. They got JT Miller beating up Petey in the dressing room. And then the first person they target is known human cancer, Evander Kane. And they're like, we signed Kane. And it's like, what are we just like, what are we doing? Like, doesn't make any sense to me. So let's stay away from him.
As a Sabres fan, not a good time. Just saying.
No, it isn't. No, sorry, Sabres fans. Not good.
I'd be curious of the statistician guru's opinion of the Framber Valdez catcher incident.
I gotta say, it really soured me on him a lot. Obviously, he's a talented pitcher, but the relationship between the pitcher and catcher is like sacrosanct. That is sort of the closest relationship on the field. These longtime battery mates reach a point where like you can read each other's minds, right? Like the catcher knows what the guy throws, and on any given night, what's working, what's not, what the challenges are. And the pitcher trusts his catcher to call the right game. And so there's a lot of communication, both verbal and nonverbal. There's a lot of just sort of like creating this aura of like, we're locked in and we're going to get this guy out. And to compromise that by making your catcher feel like you don't have his back, or that, he can't trust you to not even literally drill him in the chest with a fastball, I think is like offensive to like the institution of baseball. It's just, it's so wrong on like a basic level, but on like a teammate level, it's even more offensive.
Yeah.
I was surprised that was not the downfall of the locker room for the Astros, because they actually did stay with it for a while after that whole thing. Maybe some more deteriorated after the scene, but I'm not going to lie. If that was me and I was catching, I might have charged my own pitcher.
I believe the catcher was also like very, very, very new. Like had only played a handful of games in the big leagues in his career. And, so he's obviously at a disadvantage compared to like, a veteran pitcher. And it's not how you run things. And I couldn't see a personality like that jumping into the culture that the Blue Jays have cultivated this year.
Yep. Good times. So, but he's one of the ones that is on the free agent list. Continuing, there's a couple, Cody Bellinger and Shodi Amanga, both declared for free agency. I was kind of surprised by them not accepting club options. Pete Alonso also deferring. And then you get into the Alex Bregman, Ranger Suarez, Dylan Cease, Kyle Schwarber, and then finally our Bo Bichette as far as who is going to be projected for the highest salaries. So there's a lot of fun there to be had to be able to help this team go, Liz.
Okay, my whole thing is this. I think we're going to re-sign Bo. My issue is not if we re-sign him. It's is he cool playing second base?
It's a good question.
You
look
know,
pretty good.
But no, I mean, emotionally, is he good with it? And not you know what I mean? He's the guy who's like, I want to be shortstop. And he wasn't the best shortstop. And we were like, you should not play shortstop. But we did it anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree with you. I have no idea what his mental scape would be on that whole thing but that point, regardless of what that did for his current playing career, that did make him more appealing, not just to Blue Jays fans as a second baseman, but free agency wise, his power at second base is pretty damn enticing if you're able to steal him in on that position as a free agent. It's not any different than Mookie Betts literally playing every freaking position on the field over the last few years.
So, but that's what happens, right? I mean, you look at guys like Tatis and Mook and other guys. I mean, you move to where you can play. And I mean, if Bo's future is at second base, then Bo's future is at second base. I mean, he's a good second baseman. He doesn't have to physically put as much damage on the chassis as at short. And I thought for my bang for my buck, he actually looked to me like he moved better at second base. Like he looked like he had that chunk of the field covered a little better than sometimes he can let the balls that are just out of his range get away from him at short. And he didn't have that issue, even that when he played behind second base, which was an incredible play, by the way, you hurt or not hurt. But I think that the Jays have they have a really good option with him. They have lots of leverage with him. I feel like, they've got the Vladdy button to be able to push. So if they come right at a number for him, which everyone seems to be, there seems to be sort of an agreement out there of where he's sort of sitting, I think it'll come down to term for Bo, because I feel like at some point Bo probably wants to go somewhere like Arizona or somewhere warm. He seems to like the more temperate climates. But I guess it'll depend. And then, like you said, I mean, there's some really interesting names, on that list, especially if Bo is willing to move over to 2, then, I mean, that you could maybe snipe somebody off that list that could really make a big impact to your team. And the fact that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, there's 17 second basemen that are available in free agency. Yep. I mean, if he takes himself and puts himself over there and just says to the Jays, I'm just going to move over here, just get rid of your second base problems. They've got the potential to either move Ernie to third and keep him there, or he can do what he was doing with Barge with kind of platooning third base. And then, we're good at a couple of different really key positions, and you can start to maybe try and snipe somebody to fit into the outfield or just for a bat or an arm.
Well, the other beautiful thing is the Blue Jays have that embarrassment of riches of people that can actually legit play second base too. It's Ernie, it's Davis Schneider, it's Arjun Amala's on the outfryer. It's all these pieces. And I think that's the fun part about regardless of what happened in this World Series, to Liz's exact point, and the reason I named the episode, this is the warm-up act to this year. There's so many good things going for this team. And we have all these wonderful pieces that we can move around. And there is so much versatility in this roster that if you get the big guy at whatever position, we can move them around to get these other pieces. So Bo comes back and plays shortstop. Fine. Andres Jimenez plays second. You have Ernie Clement play third. Okay, great. You sign Alex Bregman. Still don't have Bo Bichette. move Andres to short and move Ernie Clement to second. There's just a lot of these pieces that move around and can keep this team in a very, very competitive space. And with Shane Bieber, I make the argument with him coming back, do we still have maybe one of the best pitching lineups right now in baseball with Treyas Savage, Evan Gossman, Shane Bieber, Eric Lauer gets back into this thing, and then you get Jose Barrios back.
Yeah, where's Jose Barrios?
I don't know. He
first time
disappeared
injured
like a ghost.
Yeah.
He was in the dugout in the first series and then gone.
Yeah, like we saw Yimmy around. Or sorry, Jimmy now.
He was there for the last, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was around. This is where our pitchers round up. Where the frig is Bowden?
He was there.
But is he is he bad? What's our vibe on Francis, man? We don't know.
I think a healthy Bowden Francis helps this team. I think it's that simple. He's going to come out and he's going to help Eric Lauer push in spring training.
Geez, there's another one. Eric Lauer could get you, if you wanted to use him as trade bait, I mean, he could get you a lot of good back right now.
Arbitration eligible.
He is at his highest level right now. And I mean, I hate to say it, I hate to trade guys that I like, but good Lord, he could probably get you a functional player now, plus a couple of draftees even.
We'll see. Pitching's always at a premium, to your point, Jason. So, but anyway, not Gaetti. I got to start asking some fun here. Who do you like on this free agent market that maybe somebody's got flying under the radar here that would be a good pickup for some Major League Baseball team?
I think it's possible that Pete Alonso might be undervalued because, you know, he is not like an elite defender. He's not an elite base runner. He's not an elite batting average or OBP guy. People think of him as just like a primal masher with light tower power. But
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not really his only trick. I believe he's not counting the 2020 season, but I think he has like the record for most consecutive seasons with at least 30 home runs to start a career. Yeah. And he just played all 162 games for the second straight year in a row. And he just led the NL in doubles. He's grown, I think, as a hitter in terms of using the whole field, but he still has 500-foot home run power. And, you know, I am big on durability and availability. You can't help your team when you're on the IL, and you can't, you know, if you have a manager who's overthinking everything and playing matchups constantly and the lineup's never the same 2 days in a row, that's sort of like moving parts like breeds instability. And I think if you have a guy like Alonso, who's a lock for 35, 40 homers and will post every single day of the season and stay healthy, there's tremendous value in that. But you're going to have a lot of front offices saying, yeah, but his RBAT and his WRC plus and his this and his R field and whatever. And his, you know, it's like, he's a baseball player in the purest sense. And I was kind of surprised that, you know, he opted out, but at the same time, we knew he took a short-term deal to bet on himself. And then he had a pretty good year, 41 doubles, 38 homers, 126 RBI, 871 OPS, and he's still only 30. So I don't know, but I selfishly, I hope he's a Met for life. I struggle to picture him in another uniform, but I think he has more value than people realize.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if, you know, the Blue Jays, let's just say they grab somebody like Pete Alonso. This team didn't have a 100 RBI guy this year, and we were as good as we were. Right. What happens when you finally have a guy like that in this lineup? It's just whole nother level, and good luck. Now I can definitely see Liz's thinking and pondering.
Yeah, back to my segment of where's the guy? Where's that guy? Anthony Santander.
There it is.
Santander. Where's that guy? Like, what the shit?
He's there.
He's there somewhere.
He was so bad. He was not good at all.
No.
I don't think he ever got his legs under him. It's amazing what happens when you're not healthy all spring. You try to play through it, and then you just can't. I really just hope in the all things holy that he's healthy this spring.
What's wrong with him?
Go ahead, Liz.
Something wrong with his
Back
shoulder.
was
His
what he was saying
back
last.
I thought it was a shoulder.
something.
I don't know if
Listen,
you guys
nobody
saw
knows. Everyone's like leg, arm, ear ball.
Yeah.
We don't
just
know.
shit storm body parts, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw the clip of him on his rehab assignment when he had like the world's slowest home run trot, and it took him like 40 seconds to get around the bases. It's like, are you hurt or are you just showing up this like 20-year-old pitcher?
Yeah.
Turns out he was hurt or both, but like that was a slow trot. I was like, this is great and weird.
Yeah.
Super weird.
Paint dry.
But hey, fun fact about Tony Taters. I believe he's got the single season record for homering from both sides of the plate in the same game the most times. I believe he's done it 4 times in a single season.
Wow.
And he's cute. Like, we don't talk about his cute because we haven't seen him laughing, but like he is not as cute as Teo, but the same sort of cute vibe.
Yeah.
I'm a Teo guy personally.
Yeah, we're all Teo
love
guys.
Teo.
We're all Teo guys and girls. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Cute.
Teo's the one that got away, bud.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Still
Big
there.
time. Big time.
Still hurts.
Still hurts, especially watching him win 2 back-to-back World Series now. So I want to talk because I have a weird story here of how I got out of my mental scape on Saturday evening. I want to be able to tell it, but I was kind of thinking it would be kind of fun and humorous to hear how each of you got out of the funk a little bit, at least, as we are now 96 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting, because that's how quick I had to hurry up and turn that around in my head. I had to get something mentally to project myself to. Anybody want to go first or have a funny?
I should address a comment. I need to address a comment really quick. It's really pressing. Cousin
Sure.
Troy Lyons says there's no cuteness in baseball, and I ask him, has he ever seen Kevin Kiermaier? Because that's just the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, Liz. And that's my cousin. Keep a lid on it there, Troy. Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, like I said earlier, like it was so emotional when Bo hit that home run, and and it was so ironic. Like I had said to you right before that, Craig, that Bo was going to have that moment finally, and when he hit it, I was just like, "Here we go, pedal down, let it roll." The longest home run we'd seen in forever, and all these other things, and you're just like, "Wow!" And everything's rolling, and then you're like, "Oh no, oh no." Oh no! So it was kind of a letdown the way it happened. Like, I mean, the broken bat. You'd like a more exciting play than a broken bat with a badly turned, double play. But like the play where Pages made the catch over top of Hernandez. And can we just for a moment, like I don't mind people confidently winning, but Kike Hernandez, you need to put a fucking lid on it, man. We have like the people that are out there have had it with the fact that you ride coattails. You're a joke of a player. Like, I mean, it's brutal, man. And then for you to start insulting the Jays and their fans, as soon as you get back to out, like just a total fucking idiot. And he proves it every single time he opens his mouth. I mean, I think he's maybe angry, though, that he's not tall enough to get on a lot of the rides at Disneyland. So, I mean, I could see why that would bother him. But, I mean, he's a punk. I was so happy when he crashed into it. I wanted that ball to hit the ground so bad. But
how did that not? That's the baseball gods did not want us to win.
Who knows?
The unfortunate reality of what I saw 7 times over 2 games. So, all right, I'm going to tell my horrible, stupid story because, of course, I'm watching the game with my wife, and it happens. I click the TV off, and she goes, "Well," and then it's like, I'm going for a walk. I'm going somewhere. I'm not going to stay in this room and be angry. So I wander off, and she's just like, "I love you," and I wander off. I go back. I sit at my drum set, play my drums. That didn't cut it. Go play video games. Didn't cut it. Basically paced around the house. Didn't cut it. And then I was like, I'm just going to go on YouTube and I'm going to watch stand-up comedy. I'm going to laugh this out. YouTube, in its infinite wisdom, thought this was the perfect time to suggest me to watch the Four Falls of Buffalo documentary about the Super Bowl champions that never happened.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I did it.
I thought you were going to say Jim Kelly came to your door. My car broke down out front of the...
Yeah, it's vapor lock. So
Too funny.
So no, I sat and watched that, and it just kills me watching the whole thing and watching the comparisons between the Buffalo Bills losing those Super Bowls and the fashion that they did, and how this game old enough to live through all those Super Bowls. So there's that whole piece to it too. But that documentary turned me around to the reason on why I love being a Blue Jays fan and why I love being a Bills fan and the Sabres fan. The community around the team is just as important as the product on the field. And what that ended up turning me around to by the end of the time I watched that whole thing is like, all right, there's a bunch of people feeling the same exact damn way. I can turn this around, and there's only so many days to spring training, and we are ready for it this next time. The community is there, and we saw that in spades. Cannot say enough good things about the Blue Jays fans, the community, the wonderful people that love this show and come to tune into our shenanigans. Could not thank you enough. But
no, it was awesome.
You all helped me out of it, even though you were not physically in the room with me.
And Liz, I mean, you missed a few of them because you were going to the game.
She was there,
But
apparently with Brother Lions.
Yeah, I know. Forked out $1,100 a ticket. And don't put up Mike's thing about I don't feel bad for IKF. That guy was 2 feet off third base in a crucial, my 14-year-olds know better than that line than that kind of a leadoff. And I don't know what Phoebus is doing at third base, not telling him to get farther off. I feel like I could have scored that run. And I'm fat and old.
Game benches.
But I'm with you, Craig. And I think that we owe a special shout out. I mean, in some of those pregame shows, we had 300-400 people poking in, which is nuts to hear us talk about baseball. So thank you to all of you guys.
Number right now.
Yep. Thank you to all you guys and gals out there. I mean, obviously we can't do this without you guys. And I mean, it's a long off season. We go all the way through because we feel like that's the right thing to do, where most of the other baseball pods shut down. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was a really fun run, and I could hear it in your voice there, Craig. It's tough. It's tough when you lose, and especially when the expectation is there. Like, if we didn't expect to win this thing, I think it would be different. We were the David and Goliath stuff. If we went 2 games in and they were mud stomping us, and we were like, "Oh, okay, maybe if we get one,"
right there.
We took the best. We took the best team in the league to 7th game, the most games anybody can play. And I mean, they barely got by. 1 missed pitch by Shane Bieber, 1 missed pitch by Hoffman.
One ball that goes a few feet over somebody's head, or the collision actually causes something. An active God doesn't stick a baseball in a fence.
Yeah.
Runner isn't out at home by half an inch.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Pass.
We'll unpack it over the next 3 months.
We might just have to move into that pity party while we, hopefully get some free agent parties going here at the same time. So I want to finish the show with some fun and goof around here and have some, stat deep dives and whatnot. Nakayeti, you are more than well aware of our guest probably next week, because you had all the best stats on while he was on our pregame show. We are going to have our friend Rance Mullenix back next week. You had all sorts of great things to say. You have all sorts of wonderful information. And I don't know how the hell you do this. You just remind me of the guy that handed all the stats to the announcer in the movie Little Big League. You just have the best things to talk to. So I'm going to give you the mic, and I'm going to let you just chit chat on whatever you would like to and get the stat to conversation talking.
So Rance Mullenix is for sure an underrated Jays player. I mean, he had such a distinct ball player look to him, right? You think 1980s baseball player and you think that guy. Yeah. And obviously I do the NEPTA post. By the way, we're closing in on NEPTA number 400 pretty soon.
Ooh,
there you go. It's like we can celebrate an anniversary together. We're almost at 500.
Yeah, see, that's awesome. I believe I'll do my 400th NEPTA post at some point this month in November. But
nice. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Part of the joy for me is putting these guys in context, right? It's often not the superstars, the marquee guys, the MVP winners. It's about taking these guys that, that was my mom's favorite player when I was a kid, or somebody that you have a personal affinity to or a story about, and putting them in the context of, okay, but actually how good were they? And I found in looking at Rance Mulliniks and his career, some interesting things. Like, for instance, I made a list of players across a 10-year period from 1983 to 92 who appeared in at least 1,000 games during that span, maintained an 800 OPS, and struck out fewer than 500 times. And that list of 5 players across a decade-long sample size was Don Mattingly, Alan Trammell, Wade Boggs, Tony Gwynn, and Rance Mulliniks. So that is 3 Hall of Famers. Donnie Baseball maybe should be a 4th Hall of Famer. And then Rance is, I would say a consensus non-Hall of Famer, but think about the company that he keeps on that list in terms of avoiding strikeouts. And an 800 OPS is actually decently, respectable. And he was part of a platoon situation. So he was going in there being a useful role player, and he was also a really good defensive third baseman. And so people maybe remember him for having a sort of modest to average build for a pro athlete. He's got the distinctive mustache. He obviously looks great in those 80s Jays uniforms. But to put him in the context of a list where it's like sort of cherry picked, sure, but you're talking about a 10-year period. This is not like a tiny sample size. And to see him listed alongside some of the greatest hitters that the game has ever seen is one of those things that really sort of brings me joy about creating these posts and sharing them. And, I think putting him in the context of a list like that was eye-opening to a lot of people.
There you go. And he's going to be on the show next week, so we're going to make sure we show him your wonderful fun that he actually commented on that when we had him on the line afterwards. We missed it on the recording, buddy, but he was very thankful for that awesome post that you made.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
We only had a half hour, so things were very, 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 very World Series during that last.
He's just
one,
recently.
We will make sure we get his reaction.
Yeah, he was saying he's just recently sort of dove into social media, and he's like, "I've got my daughter and some others helping me out," and And it was really cool. It was a really fun moment to have him on. He's a pretty rad guy. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Definitely a fan favorite. Definitely, people have really positive recollections of him and a lot of Jays players of the 80s. They were such a great team back then.
Yeah. We also have him as the next person that is going to get the pass this question from a former Blue Jay. Todd Stottlemyre was on the show last week, right before the Game 7. And he has the next question that we got to make sure we start off with Rance next week. So make sure you tune in for that one. It's going to be always a good one when we enlisted those wonderful stories from a question from one of their old teammates and whatnot here on the show. It's a good time. So speaking of eliciting questions and having a good time, we have the NEPTA fandom person on the line here. That's one of your biggest fans and wants to chit chat with you, enjoying the fun here. And we got Cullen Chaperon for you, bud.
What's going on, everybody?
Yo. What's up?
Sorry, I couldn't as much be stat bitch this time, Jason.
Look at that shirt.
Yeah, show the shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Baseball's all-time war
Great
leader.
shirt.
I mean,
It's
come
so
on,
good.
I'll help you blender spreadsheet. NG, come on, you know how I have to do this thing.
That's how we roll. Yeah. Ted Williams, the all-time board leader.
It was either this one or the NEPTA hoodie, which is actually somewhere lying around here now.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm
what? You have a
representing-
no combined? There's no such thing as a combined no hitter.
combined no-hitters
I wore
aren't
that
real.
yesterday, actually, during
Yeah,
the
They
work
aren't real.
Oh, real.
I wore that one during a work meeting the other day. The hat is actually worn. The Nakai hat is worn by my niece, who refers to it as the mustache hat.
Yeah, well,
See,
Mustache hat.
Also, yeah, I got all the merch.
We have
at
some
this point.
very strong opinions in the NEPTaverse, and combined no-hitters aren't real is chief among them. Pun intended.
Very apt phrasing there.
yes,
There you go.
yes.
And this also
Speaking of
helps
stories,
so that way people know that we are not the same person. We are two separate entities.
That's
They
true.
have I don't know if you know, but I have fielded that question before. Are you sure you're not the same person? We're not the same person. I guarantee
I've
we're
got a
not.
question. Who is not Gaetti on Twitter now?
Did we just pull back the Wizards cloak here? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
are we
Well, but-
breaking NEPTA news here? Like, have we gone through
The
the fourth?
Neptonomicon is what I call the spreadsheet.
It's actually extremely simple. I'm not Gaetti. The rest of you aren't Gaetti.
I have a question for
as he
not
adjusts the
Gaetti.
sunglasses.
Where is will the mustache be joining us?
Oh,
I'm
the
working
mustache.
on it.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of miss it. I do miss my mustache phase. It was pretty legit, but you know, it's a seasonal thing. I got to bring it back at some point. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How long
I think
does
the
it take
bigger
you to
question is,
grow
do you
the
actually go? Do you go full Raleigh fingers again? That would be the funner part.
Yeah, the challenge is going through like real life with that because it's people notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it takes me longer than I wish. But once it gets going, it's very serious. Somebody once told me, like, you know how when you see somebody with a mustache, you can tell if it's a joke? You look like you're serious. A non-joke mustache was the feedback I got. So
It was too serious. It was not ready for TV.
Yes.
I'm unfortunately cursed with joke mustache.
Mine just gets all squirrely when it gets past this like general.
It's why I
chin
keep
strap.
the beard. I haven't seen my chin in 7 years now. No, longer than that. Eight,
There it
9
is.
years.
So, guys, I want to make sure as we have the spreadsheet wizard and the statistician in the face, the actual not Gaetti on the show here, give us a little bit about what's going on here with what you guys are working on with the wonderful work that you do with NEPTA. Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we're closing in on NEPTA number 400, which is going to be a pretty big milestone that I don't know if from the beginning, I didn't know how far it was going to go, but you know, they just released the ballot for the contemporary baseball era, and all 8 guys on the ballot are guys that have been featured on NEPTA during the last 2 years and that I've been pretty vocal in advocating for. So I'm not saying I'm going to take credit, but to the extent I could even take 0.0001% of the credit for getting these guys back in the public consciousness and getting people talking about them. It was really satisfying for me to see, you know, for instance, Carlos Delgado get on the ballot. We talked about him a lot the last time I was on the show, and he was post number 2. He was literally the second guy that I ever did a NEPTA about. And he, at that point, had been like a sort of forgotten slugger, except by fans of a handful of teams. And now here he is on the Hall of Fame ballot.
As he should be.
Yeah. So, you know, there are guys that I definitely advocate for a lot. I'm a big Dale Murphy guy. You know, I'm a Don Mattingly guy. It's neat to see these people that I have, you know, featured pretty prominently and advocated for being on the ballot. You know, the other thing that I'm trying to do more of during the off season when we don't have baseball to watch is lean more into some long form content, you know, under the articles tab on my profile. I wrote a piece on Game 7 that just became the most viewed article that I've published on that platform. It has almost 500,000 views in the last couple of days. And so I love writing about baseball more than I love writing about most things. And, you know, it's part of that whole intersection with the color, the characters, the history, the storytelling. It's so much more than just a game. It's so much more than just numbers. And to the extent that I can help people pass the chilly winter months with some reading material that reminds them of their favorite pastime and players they forgot and guys that not enough people talk about, that's something I'm really excited to do over the winter. So stay tuned for hopefully some more articles and some more NEPTA posts, and, you know, we'll go to the moon.
Yeah, you did well with that article, bud. So, Colin, you know, Wrath of Rock in the flesh. I gotta have you here. What's going on, bud? You gotta tell me something.
It's weird being on the other side of the camera on this, I'll be honest, but at the same time, it's
you've been moved up from the cheap seats to the primo seats, even though I don't know what venue we're at, and it's probably like, you know, $1 beer night somewhere.
Yeah, let me just hop back up into the nosebleeds and just cheer you on from afar. Just like, yay. But
So.
yeah, I'll be sitting in the background. I'll be in comments here and there, just shooting the shit with people, just making sure it's like, because I spend more time than ever just posting, yep, this guy's already been posted. This guy's already been posted. It's the impetus for the whole spreadsheet thing in the first place, which is going to be celebrating its 1 year creation anniversary at the end of December.
So December will be, I guess, the 2 year anniversary of the first post and the 1 year anniversary of actually building the spreadsheet. And then we got the viewer, the NEPTA dashboard is available on the Obvious Shirts store. They've been so gracious about hosting it there. So it's co-located with all the merch. You can go filter by team. You can look at every Blue Jay that's ever been featured. You can get your Ted Williams all-time war leader shirt all in one place. So that's really fun. Yeah. But, like Cullen was saying, catch us in the replies, engage with us. We're all about cultivating this community. Like I never want to be somebody that just talks numbers at people. It's very, it's all a dialogue, right? We're having like a really big conversation about these guys that in another generation without social media might have been completely forgotten, right? If we didn't have social media, if we didn't have podcasts like you guys do, if we didn't have, Twitter feeds and people writing about articles, nobody would be talking about Rand Smolenix or these other like role player type dudes from generations gone by. So, I take seriously the responsibility and the opportunity that we have to, just keep these guys in the conversation and just remember some of the great stuff that they contributed to our fandoms and our formative years as people that love baseball.
I mean, I think it's so important, both the stuff that both of you guys do, because like I've got lots of friends that listen to the cast and they learn like Cullen, the stuff that you put into the side. One of my friends, Jamie, is constantly like, how does this guy know so much? And I'm like, he just does, man. He's just like
he literally has a team.
Just the Oracle, baby. You can't question the Oracle. He's got it over there. So
it's like, hey, I kind of know what I'm talking about when all I read growing up was baseball books. And that's all I learned.
What the other thing you guys are doing, and we've seen this now, with Brooke Loves Ball or Brooke Knows Ball, is you guys are making this a normal conversation for somebody to talk about Mike Schmidt or to talk about, Carl Yastrzemski or, guys that did stuff before our kids, if you have them, were, even knew what baseball was. And so, I've got so many heroes that nobody ever talks about except for you guys and Brooke sometimes and some other, not too many, but like you said, like that's why we like having you guys on, because I think that every time we unearth some sort of a stat or something that you can see people in the chat and other places, you can see the wheels turning. So thank you guys for doing that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And speaking of the book things, Colin, I just got to make this because this was the weird little buy that my mom was wandering around at like a flea market in place here in town, and she finds this Scholastic book that is literally like the size of your cell phone. Johnny Olerud. Wow. Sorry, John Garrett Olerud. Oh, awesome. It's like brand new. It's like mint condition. It's like so perfect.
What's the date on that?
Staples. It's got to be 94. It's got 5 years of his playing history on the back of it.
Oh, Garth Orge.
Sweet.
So there you go. If you can see it, I don't know.
Neptune number 15, but I have the spreadsheet on another tab. Of course I do.
It's apparently a whole series. This is collector's book 23 out of I have no idea how many.
There you go.
Well, there were 23,500 players, so
there you go.
There is a Nepta for everybody.
Yeah, we know very well the 17,954th player in Bob File, who is here like every other week now.
Yeah.
I love Bob. He's a terrific guy. He's one of the few
brother File.
He's one of the few Twitter people that I've hung out with in real life. We don't live that far apart. And he's just got a lot of great stories from coming up through pro ball, and he's just such a great guy. I can't say enough good things about Bob.
Yep. Nope, he's definitely like the unofficial fourth
Ming
member at this
Ramirez
point.
Homer.
Yeah.
That thing's probably still orbiting somewhere around here trying to turn back time like Superman.
Yeah.
So on this note, before I let you guys go, I got to make sure that our buddy here, that's the Dale Murphy enthusiast, knows that The Case for the Baseball Hall of Fame podcast agrees with you. It's the year for Dale Murphy.
Yep, I talk with that gentleman all the time. He's a very good guy. He and I have talked a lot of baseball over the past months.
Dale is, obviously a deserving Hall of Famer. He's one of the few guys that has gotten both a NEPTA post and also a full article. The NEPTA post is more in the spirit of why he belongs in the Hall of Fame numbers wise. And then the article gets deeper into like, we clearly use the character clause as a shield to keep certain guys out.
Yep.
When are we going to start using it as a sword to get guys in?
That's a good point. Because
If
I always
if it's at all reciprocal, right? If you can use the character clause to keep PED guys out or sexual abusers or, gamblers or whatever, then when are you going to turn that around and take the best of the best guys and use that to get them over the hump? Get your Dale Murphys in, get your Rusty Staub in, quality human beings, beloved by fans everywhere, immensely popular, good dudes. Like, he doesn't need you to lean on that. He's got the numbers, but if you're not convinced, read the article and hopefully I'll persuade you.
There you go.
I have a question. For our guy. Okay, often friends, our guy, not Guy Eddie, will tag me if there's a Blue Jay or something cool he thinks I'll like, he'll tag me in the post, right? And what will happen is I will see it just explode with people disagreeing or agreeing or getting in their own side fights, like these like weird side fights of like, it's
Don't worry what happened in left field, Liz.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay. Who has been the most controversial NEPTA player that you didn't think would be so?
I can think of one immediately after he retired. If it wasn't a player, I think you know what I'm talking about. NG over here.
Angel Hernandez.
Oh God, why?
We have altered that post though after the fact.
That one was pretty funny. So obviously you guys know I do Chaos Tuesday, and sometimes the Tuesday NEPTA post by design is somebody that's going to draw some of that controversy. So for instance, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Robinson Cano, these guys have been Tuesday, man. Who?
Brewster.
Oh yeah, Brewster. Look up NEPTA Brewster. Who's this? But after Angel Hernandez abruptly announced his retirement, I did a NEPTA post for him, and we have modified the NEPTA dashboard viewer so that the Angel Hernandez post provides a link where you can make a donation to the blind in his honor.
Let's go.
It is a school that is relatively local to me, and I reached out to them and I said, hey, we're doing, like, I didn't mention to them at first. I mentioned it in that guy. I said, hey, I know Angel Hernandez doesn't technically have a team because we're able to sort by team. I said, can we do like I think it was an initial link to Perkins School for the Blind was his team.
That's glorious.
Yeah.
And because they have a baseball program there where they teach these hard of hearing, hard of seeing kids the rules of baseball using like these electronic games and all sorts of things about baseball, the sport we all love. And I was like, this could be funny, but it also could be a very good thing. So I brought it up with that guy and I said, can we do this?
It's trolling for a good cause. And, the reason that it appeals to me so much, like Cullen mentioned, Perkins School for the Blind actually has a specific interest in making baseball more accessible to people that are visually impaired. So they have these like tactile games where you can like feel the way runners move around and what the field is shaped like. They have these guides for like helping you navigate a day at the ballpark if you are visually impaired, cues to listen for, how you should prepare, things like that. And I think anything that makes baseball more accessible to people is just such a great resource. So if you do make a donation to the blind in honor of Angel Hernandez, that's where it will be going.
Glorious.
So when you're feeling charitable and you want to troll for a good cause, head over to the NEPTA dashboard.
Beautiful.
Well done. I've actually seen a few people here in Rochester at Rochester Red Wings games because we actually have our Rochester Institute of Technology is one of the highest engineering colleges with a school for the blind, and they're always around town, and a lot of people know sign language. It's great to see them at the ballpark because baseball is so fit for just being able to listen to the ball game, listen to it on the radio, listen to a great voice, whoever's calling the game, Vince Scully or anything. If you were not going to be able to see, I'd still think I'd be able to, project myself into that mind space there. Go ahead.
So awesome. So wonderful.
So does anybody have any other final topics that they'd like to chit chat on, or are we good to go?
Nope, good to go, baby.
So I hope, Blue Jays fans, we offered you all a little bit of, get your mindset back in for the rest of your week here on a Wednesday evening. We are going to be back to our normal everyday schedule, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. on the, West Coast where Jason's at. And we're going to be back to the normal Wednesdays. So make sure you join us. And then until then, I guess we'll be with Ransom Alex next week. And we'll talk to you all things Blue Jays baseball. Have a great week. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Jay Bird Watching Podcast. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at BirdwatchingGC and our YouTube channel. If you want to support the show and get extra content, please consider joining to our Patreon at patreon.com/birdwatchinggc. Go Jays, go.
Woo!